Hello and welcome to the Course Success and Retention Dashboard. This video is meant to be a tutorial to show you how to navigate the dashboard and all of its features and interactivity. So starting up top, you will see there is a title that says Course Success Rates, Academic Year 24 through 25. You can change that time frame. Just right below it, it says Select a Time Frame. And here you've got a drop-down menu where you can select full academic years or specific terms. I can select fall 23 here and you'll see the data change. You'll also notice that this dashboard defaults to course success, but you can use these buttons to either select success or to select retention. If I were to click on this, all the data will change to show you retention data. And same thing, if I were to click back on success, it will go back to success data. We also have this toggle for EWs or excused withdrawals. These are grades that are non-evaluative and they don't go on to students' transcripts. Prior to the pandemic, the process was to exclude EWs from all of our dashboards. However, the pandemic threw a bit of a wrench into things. We administered mass amounts of EW grades to students and we had no real ability to determine if they were actually excused grades or they would have been more standard W grades. And so there's no real way to kind of parse that out during those pandemic impacted years and terms. So we've given you a toggle here where you can see what the percents would be, what the rates would be with EWs included like they are now. Or if you were to click this toggle, you will see them excluded. And you will notice in that COVID term, fall 20, that success rate jumped up to 89, so it inflated the success rate. It does the same thing with retention rate. So we're allowing you to kind of decide what you want to do because the impact during non-COVID terms is fairly low and fairly minimal. There's also the ability to filter this dashboard. You'll notice this Show Filters button. If you click on this, a side panel will open up with additional filters. So you have the option to filter by course career, so either adult high school credit like selected now or non-credit. You have a drop down of all the program review categories, so you can select all of them or you can select one single category. If you select one here, let's select art, and then go down to the course filter, you will notice that all of the courses that are shown here are only art courses, so they will only be courses that are in this program review category. So I'm going to go back to all. To close this filters, you just hit this Hide Filters button. And before I move on, I do just want to point out that there is a little footer down here to remind you which filters are applied. So if you have that filters pop-out window closed, you can still know what's being filtered on this screen. I also want to just point out the last thing in the header, which is this little info icon. This is going to give you more information about how course success and retention are calculated, as well as which grades are included and the formula that we use to calculate these rates. Okay, onto the chart. So here you've got your fall 23 timeframe selected. With that selected, you will see the success rate for that timeframe is right up here, big and bold, at 71%. You'll also see that term, fall 23, is highlighted in the trend below in this dark blue, and you'll see how that compares over time to other fall terms. If I were to select the academic year again, let's go back to 24-25, you will see now that these all switch to academic year for the comparison. Below that is a grade distribution chart. This chart shows you the distribution of grades during the selected time frame. And the grades that are categorized as successful are going to be highlighted in blue. So just another reminder of which grades we are including in the success calculation. If I were to change this to retention using the button at the top, you will see that the blue then extends to all of the grades that are also failing. So basically any grade that is not an EW or a W is something that we count as a grade that is retained. You'll also notice that if I were to take EWs out of the analysis, they will disappear from here because they are no longer included in what we're looking at. You also have the ability to disaggregate this data by specific student level characteristics or course related characteristics. In the student level characteristic, you can select whatever characteristic you'd like from this drop down menu. You can see there are many options here, but as soon as you select one, you will see that those values change down here in this chart. You will also see a red dot next to some of these. This is indicating that these groups are experiencing disproportionate impact, or DI. DI is something that we calculate in RPI using the percentage point gap, or PPG. There is a wealth of information about disproportionate impact if you were to hover over this icon and additionally click it for more information. But essentially, DI occurs when a subgroup of students based on some student characteristic like age or gender or ethnicity are experiencing lower outcomes compared to all other students. In this case, we're seeing that 30 to 39-year-olds are being retained at a lower rate than what we would expect compared to all other students. There is more information about disproportionate impact on a later tab in this dashboard, so we'll talk more about that then. You also have the ability to disaggregate by course-related characteristics. So in this case, that is just course modality or campus, and you can select one of those two here, and you will see that change in the disaggregated view. Okay, that is all we have on this main landing page. We'll move now on to demographic trends. So there are two ways that you can get to the next tab. You can either click this navigation button down here, and that will take you to the next page, or you can use the tabs up here at the top to go to the demographic trend page. Now, just as you might expect, this shows you demographic trends over time. So whatever value you had selected on that first page in that student level disaggregation will carry over here. So if you want to change this back to ethnicity or one of the other variables, you will see that change here as well. And what we have is the overall rate. So the rate that you saw on the previous screen is here in this dashed line. That represents the overall average. And then the area chart with kind of the grayish dark blue indicates the values for the disaggregated group. So it's easy to see over time kind of how groups are comparing to the overall rate. I also have academic years selected up here in the time frame type. You could select to compare summer terms, fall terms, or spring terms, whichever you would prefer. And there you have it. So all of the functionality is the same as that first page in terms of all the drop downs, success and retention buttons, the EW grades, and the filters. So I won't go into that here. The next tab we're going to talk about is the course characteristics trend. Again, you have two ways to go about getting there, either via the tabs up at the top or the navigation buttons down here at the bottom, and this will take you to the next page. So here we're looking at a similar thing that we were before, but now at the course level in terms of course modality. And you will probably immediately see the impact of COVID, right? We didn't have any on-ground courses in spring 21 due to COVID, so there's a big gap here. But otherwise, the chart is laid out the same. And same thing, you'll see over time, in this case, spring terms, but you can change it to years, summer, or fall, whichever you prefer to see. And you can see how that rates over time. The next tab we're going to talk about is disproportionate impact. So this is the one I mentioned earlier. This is going to be a trend over time in terms of disproportionate impact at the student level. So here, the time frame type that we have selected is spring terms, but again, you could change that to fall or years or summer or whatever you want to look at to see the trend over time. And what we have here is a kind of a modified heat map where we are flagging groups of students as experiencing disproportionate impact or not. DI is signified by a red square with an exclamation point in it. And DI, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty details, there is some more math within the tooltip of each of these squares. So you can see exactly what's going into how we are calculating disproportionate impact. Essentially what we do is we take the success rate for, in this case, our Black students, and we compare it to the success rate of all other students. In this case, we'd be comparing 62% to 71%. We subtract those two from each other to get the percentage point gap, or the PPG, which in this semester is negative 9.6. We then compare that to a threshold based on, this threshold's calculated based on how many students we have within a specific subgroup. And when we compare that, we say, well, 9.6 is definitely bigger than 2.7. So it has surpassed that threshold, and we would we would say that this group is experiencing disproportionate impact. If you want to see this another way, you can go up to Show Filters and select a more detailed view, which is this PPG detail or percentage point gap detail. You will see the actual gap charted here compared to the threshold. So here, each bar represents the gap, so in this case, -6%, and this little black line out here is the threshold, so -9%. So -6 does not surpass -9, which is why this is colored gray to indicate that this group is not experiencing disproportionate impact. The last tab we're going to talk about is program review category rates. This allows you to look at each program review category in comparison to all other categories. So you will see now we have accounting selected, which is selected by default because it is alphabetically first. Success rate for them is over here in this big number with 74%. And then you will see how that compares to all other program review categories with the overall average shown here in this dotted line. So the average for this year is 76%. And then when we look at accounting, we're at 74%. If you want to, or then you can go down below and you can look at the accounting course success rate. So all of the different courses that fall into the accounting program review category will be listed here. If you want to look at a different program review category, you can either find it here in the bar chart that shows all of the different program review categories and click on it, and that will effectively change your program review category and show you the data broken down for the category selected. You can also click on Show Filters and select that from a drop-down menu. So if you have one in mind and you can't find it in that bar chart easily, you can go into this drop-down and select it from here and then change it that way as well. So you have multiple ways to change the program review category. And that is everything on this dashboard. I hope this tutorial has been helpful. If ever you have questions or need clarification on, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm Lisa Trescott. You can email me directly or you can email anyone in the RPI office. Until then, happy dashboarding.